ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Namaste my dear friends. This video is for the fourth day of Guru Charitra Parayana. This video will have 6 chapters, chapter number 30 to chapter number 36. This video will have chapters for reading on Sunday, every Sunday for weekly Parayana. Chapter number 30. The death of a young Brahmin husband. When Sree Guru lived at Ganagpur, his name and fame spread all over the country. The desires of all were fulfilled by the favor of Sree Guru. Gopinath, a rich Brahmin, lived at Mahur. His issues did not survive. Both the Brahmin and his wife were devotees of Sri Datta. They had a son. When he was of 5 years, his third ceremony was celebrated. When he became 12 years old, his marriage was celebrated. When he was of 16 years, the couple looked very charming. Both loved each other intensely. Unfortunately, the youth fell ill. Many medicines were given. His wife served him devotedly. He could not take full meals, so she also did not take meals. After 3 years, he developed consumption. His body emitted foul odor. Even physicians did not like to go near him, but his wife served and nurses him with great devotion. She took only as much food as her husband took. The medicines given to him were also taken by her. She gave up rich garments and lived a very simple life. The parents of the couple were rich. They were pained to see the sufferings of their son and daughter-in-law. Jap, varta, charity, sacrifices, feeding of the Brahmins and the poor had been done, but all was futile. All were passing days in grief, relying on the Almighty God. The youth tried to console his parents and wife in various ways. The wife requested her father and mother-in-law to send them to some good holy place. She said, "My husband would recoup his health there." Sree Guru Narsimha Saraswati lives at Ganagpur. His name and fame have spread all over the country, hence send us to him. The parents managed for their journey to Ganagpur and bade them goodbye with heavy hearts. On the way, the youth had Tridos, and when they reached Ganagpur, the youth died. The wife wept bitterly. She dashed her head on the ground. The local persons tried to console her, but it was in vain. She exclaimed, "I brought you away from your parents and have been the cause of your death. I have committed a great sin. How can I show my face to them now?" She fell on the dead body and wept. She decided to observe sati and burn herself with the body of her husband. In the meanwhile, there arrived a bright-looking sannyasi with as bhasma marks on his body, with a wreath of Rudraksha round the neck and locks of Hari on his head. Knowing the cause of her mourning, he began to advise her, saying, "Everyone gets the fruit of his actions in the past. You need not mourn on the death of this youth. Everyone who is born has to die one day or the other. When Ganga is flooded, logs of wood from different places come together and again part. Several birds come for shelter on a tree in the night and fly away in the morning. Similar is a family life. Due to affection, we say my father, mother, husband, son, daughter, etc. But just as foam or bubbles in water do not last long, so is the life on this earth. Life is like a dream, so do not mourn. Chapter 31. Code of Woman's Behavior. Hearing the advice, the young wife requested the sannyasi to tell her how she should behave. The sannyasi explained to her the code of female behavior. He said, this code is mentioned in the Kasi Khand of the Skanda Purana. Agasti Muni lived in Kasi. His wife Lopamudra was a great devoted wife. Vindhyagiri mountain was a disciple of Agasti. Once Narad came to Vindhya and said, you are praiseworthy in all respects, but there is only one thing wanting in you. You are not as high as Merugiri. Hearing this, Vindhya got enraged and began to grow. He grew so high that he touched the sky. Due to this, the entire country in the south of Vindhya plunged into darkness. Consequently, the Brahmins could not observe their daily rites and sacrifices. The rishis told this to Indra, who went to Brahmadev and narrated this to him. Brahmadev said, Agasti is the Guru of Vindhyagiri. Send him southwards. Seeing Agasti, Vindhya will come down to bow to him. Agasti should then ask him to be in that very position and not grow high. In this way, this calamity can be removed. Indra, accompanied by Brihaspati and other gods, came to Agasti at Kasi. They worshipped Agasti and Lopamudra and praised them. At that time, Brihaspati, guru of the gods, narrated the code of behavior of a devoted wife. He said, Arundhati, Savitri, Anasuya, Lakshmi, Parvati, Shantarupa, Menka, Suniti, Sandhya Devi, Suryakanta, Swaha Devi have all been devoted wives. So is Lopamudra a great devoted wife. Every devoted wife dines after her husband has dined. She respects the guest and the elders and greets her husband. When he comes from outside, she does not disobey her husband. She worships her husband, thinking him to be Sri Shankar. She serves him in the night and goes to sleep after her husband has slept. She gets up before her husband, cleans the courtyard and sprinkles it with water. After bath, she worships her husband and takes his teeth to dipped water and takes his tirth to dipped water. She dresses and wears ornaments. When her husband is at home, when he goes out, she does not have a makeup. Even if the husband speaks harshly to her, she does not retort. She does not abuse him. When he comes home, she greets him and asks him what he wants. A devoted wife, when she goes out, does not look at other persons and returns home soon. She does not observe any varta or fast or does not give anything in charity without the permission of her husband. If there is some function, fair or ceremony in the town, she does not go without the husband's instructions. If the husband is happy, she is not dejected, and if he is in grief, she will not come joyful. If she is in monthly course, she does not come in front of her husband and does not hear the Vedas. After bath, on the fourth day, she gives company to her husband, and in his absence, she only sees the sun. She applies halad kunkam kajal and wears the Mangal Sutra round her neck, bangles on her wrist for the long life of her husband. She does not make friendship with the washermen, concubines, atheists, and those who cajole their husband. A woman should not live deserting her mother and father-in-laws, brother-in-law, brother and sister. She should not bother putting off all her clothes. She should not sit on grinding stone or mortal pestle. She should not argue with her husband. She should not behave in such a way that he would be displeased. Even if the husband is moneyless, miserable, weak, diseased, or thoughtless, the wife should consider him as God and be obedient to him. She should not compare him with other rich and strong persons and censor him. Devoted service of the wife to her husband pleases Trimurti Dattatreya. A woman retorting angrily to her husband becomes a dog, fox, or dumb, or pauper in 7 lives. Even if the husband is weak, he should not be disregarded. She should not speak loudly or laugh in presence of the elders. She should not look towards other persons with lust. If she does so, she is degraded morally. A husband is the soul of his wife. She is regarded auspicious as long as her husband is alive. After the husband's death, she is regarded inauspicious. While going to some place, if a widow is seen, it is considered inauspicious except to her own son. If the wife observes sati, that is, she burns herself with the dead body of her husband, she attains all glory. She liberates the persons of 42 generations, 21 of the husband and 21 paternal. If the husband is sinful, still she takes him to heaven. Yama's servants also are afraid of his sati. The virtue of going sati is immense. On the contrary, if a woman is adulterous, she sends her 42 generations to the hell. Those who have a sati in their homes are really fortunate. They attain 4 values, purusarthas. Their acts are virtuous. That home is like a forest which is without a sati. In this way, Brihaspati told Lopamudra regarding the behavior of a devoted wife. The same was narrated by the sannyasi to the mourning woman. Chapter 32. Behavior of a widow, dead husband made alive. Brihaspati told regarding the behavior of a widow as follows. If the husband dies in the presence of the wife, then should observe sati. But if she is pregnant, if she has a child who is being fed on her breast, or if the husband dies at a far off place, then she should not observe sati. She should live as a widow. She should shave off the hair on the head, else the husband goes to hell. She should bathe daily and should have only one meal every day. She should observe Chandrayaan, that is, take one morsel of food on the first day of the bright Shuddha fortnight, increase one morsel daily and take 15 morsels on the Purnima. In the dark fortnight, Krishna or Vad, she should go on decreasing one morsel daily and take one morsel of food on the Amavasya. New moon day, she should not take milk, should not sleep on the bedstead, should not take Mangal bath, nor take pan. If she has no son, do she should do Tiltarpan, worship Vishnu daily and act as per the wishes of her dead husband. She should wear white clothes. In the Vaishakh month, she should give an earthen vessel in charity. In the Kartik deep should be given to a Brahmin. She should offer umbrellas and shoes to persons going on pilgrimage. She She should take meal cooked out of only one corn in Kartik. Whatever Varta she observe it, Udyapan ending function should also be duly done. If she has a son, she should act as per his wishes. Widows behaving in this way are virtuous, and even if their husbands were suffering in hell, they would take them to heaven after their death. Brahaspati had told to Lopamudra in relation with the code of female behavior, and the same was narrated by the sannyasi to the bereaved young woman. Then he said, "You now act as you wish. If you have courage, you can observe sati, and if you act as a widow, it will also be virtuous." Bowing to the sannyasi, the woman said, "You are like my parents, brother, and all. I have no relatives here. You have told me the rules of behavior of a sati and widow. I think it will be difficult for me to act as a widow, for as I am young and fair, the people at large will speak ill of me. So I think it is better to observe sati. You kindly give me your blessings." The sannyasi blessed her and said, "You have come from a long distance with your diseased husband to see Sree Guru. What was destined to happen has happened. Even great men as Harish Chandra Bhishma could not avoid it. Still, you better see Sree Guru, who can even win Kal and then observe thee." He applied bhasma to her for he applied bhasma to her forehead, gave her 4 Rudra beads, and said, "Tie 2 in your husband's ears and 2 around your neck, and sprinkle tirth on the body of your husband and on yourself after Rudrabhishek to Sree Guru. After doing this, you may observe the." The sannyasi then went away. The young woman started preparations for observing the. She called Brahmins, gave prayaschita to the body of her husband. She took a bath, wore a silk sari, and then ornaments, applied haldi, kumkum, and became ready to observe the. The body of her husband was taken to the river, and she was going in front of the corpse with the fire pot in her hand. The young girl of 16 appeared as bright as Goddess Lakshmi, and all wondered to see her courage. A pyre of wood and cow dung cakes was prepared. The young woman offered Vyan, Haldi, Kumkum, and Mangal Sutra to married women, bowed to them and said, "Please inform my parents and father and mother-in-laws that we are staying at holy place and are in good health, otherwise out of grief they will give up their lives." She was praying all the way in the mind, "O Trimurti, your fame is widespread and you possess all siddhis. If a complaint is made to a ruler, he gives justice. If one goes to a physician, he gives medicine for relief. I came crossing 20 villages with the hope that my husband will recover. I am coming to ask you how my husband expired on the way." She saw Sree Guru sitting below an aswatha tree, and she bowed to him respectfully. Sree Guru blessed her and said, "You shall have Sobhagya forever." She again bowed to Sree Guru, and he exclaimed, "You will have 8 sons." The Brahmins accompanying her told Sree Guru, "Her husband has expired and she has come here to see you before observing sati." Hearing this, Sree Guru smiled and said, "Her Sobhagya is everlasting. Bring her husband's body here immediately. Let me see when he lost his life." Some persons soon brought the dead body before Sree Guru. The strings were cut and the cloth covering was removed. The tirth of Rudrabhishek was sprinkled on the dead body, and Sree Guru looked at it with his sight full of nectar. Immediately the Brahmin youth sat up as if aroused from sleep. He was ashamed to see himself without clothes. He wore the dhoti and asked his wife why she did not awake him before, why he was brought there, and who was the sannyasi. The wife narrated to him all that had occurred. Then both of them bowed to Sree Guru with devotion and began praying to him. All the persons who had assembled there were delighted to see the miracle. One cynic person said to Sree Guru, "This Brahmin died as per his fate. How can he be alive?" Sree Guru smiled and said, "I requested Brahmdev to give 30 years life from his next life to this Brahmin youth." All were astonished to hear this. All bowed to Sree Guru and returned. The young Brahmin couple bathed at the Sangam, worshipped Sree Guru devotedly and pleased the Brahmins and poor by giving in charity. Chapter number 33. A devoted concubine. Next day, the young Brahmin couple bowed to Sree Guru and sat before him. The wife asked Sree Guru, "When I was mourning, a sannyasi advised me, gave me 4 Rudra beads and asked me to tie 2 beads in the ears of my husband and to put 2 beads round my neck. He also told me that when I go to see Sree Guru, I should sprinkle the tirth of Rudrabhisek on my husband's body and mine." Who was that sannyasi? Sree Guru smiled and said, "Seeing your devotion, I myself gave you the Rudra beads. Since do not touch them who wear Rudraksha. The significance of Rudraksha is very great. One should wear a wreath of 1000 Rudrakshas. If this is not possible, then have a wreath of 100 beads round the neck, 40 on the head, 12 in both ears. The wreath should contain silver, gold, and precious stones as diamond, emerald, pearl, coral, etc. One who bathes with Rudra beads on his body gets the credit of Ganga bath. If Rudraksha is worshipped, it is like worshipping Sri Shivalinga. The Rudraksha have 1, 5, 11 or 14 holes. I shall now tell you a tale in this respect. There lived a king Bhadrasen in Kashmir, and his son's name was Sudharma. The name of his minister's son was Tarak. Both were fast friends. They were in the same age. Both of them had studied together. They were devotees of Shiva. They, they were wreaths of Rudraksha and applied bhasma to their bodies. They did not like rich clothes and ornaments of gold and gems. Once Prashara Rishi came there. The king greeted and worshipped him. The king said to the Rishi, "My son is fond of Rudraksha and has no liking for good clothes and ornaments befitting a royal family. Please advise him properly." Prasara said, "The account of the previous birth of your son and that of your mantri is wonderful. There lived a concubine in Nandigram. She was very beautiful. She wore golden sandals. Her ornaments and her bedstead was webbed with precious stones. She had constructed a high-class dancing hall where she sang and danced daily. She had many attendants. She tied Rudraksha around their necks and taught them to dance. She was a great devotee of Shiva and gave alms to Brahmins and other profusely. One day a rich Vaishya wearing a Rudraksha wreath came to her. He had in his hand a Shivalinga of precious stones, which was as bright as sun. The concubine longed to have that Shivalinga. She asked her maidservant to ask the Vaishya if he would sell the Shivalinga or he would give it to her if she accepted to serve him as a devoted wife for 3 years, 3 days. When the maidservant told this to the Vaishya, he laughed and said, "I would gladly give this linga to your mistress if she agrees to serve me as a devoted wife for 3 days." The Vaishya then said to the concubine, "You are a prostitute by profession and caste. How can I believe that you would be honest with me for 3 days? Take an oath for this." The concubine took the oath, I shall serve you devotedly for 3 days. He then gave the linga to her hand, said, and I love and regard this linga even more than my life. If it is lost or destroyed, I shall give up my life. I should not be with you at sex play. Keep it safe. She agreed and kept the linga tied to a pillar in the dancing hall. Both then entered the inner apartment. While they were enjoying, the dancing hall caught fire and was burnt into in no time. Efforts to extinguish the fire were made, but the linga was burnt. Seeing that the precious linga was burnt, the Vaisya arranged a pyre and burnt himself. The concubine was much grieved. She decided to observe Sree as she had agreed to be a devoted wife of the Vaisya. Her relatives tried to persuade her from giving up her life, but she was firm in her resolution. She called the Brahmins and gave money in charity. She arranged the pyre, took 3 rounds around it, and leaped in the fire of the pyre. Instantly, Sri Shiva, with 5 heads and locks of hair on his head, caught her in his 10 hands and took her out of the fire and said, I am pleased with your devotion. You are released. You can ask for a boon. I myself had come to you as the Vaisya to test you. I myself set the dancing hall on fire and entered the fire and got burned. The concubine said, kindly take me with all my relatives and servants to your place. Sri Shankara seated them all in his divine plan and took them to Kailash. Chapter number 34. Rajkumar and Mantri Kumar, devotees of Sri Shiva. Prasara further said, the monkey has taken birth as your son, and the cook has become the Mantri Kumar. Due to the training of the previous birth, both are dhyanis and devotees of Shiva. Hearing this, the king asked, you have narrated the account of the previous birth of this Kumar, but what is their future? Prasara, you ask about the future of your son, but you will be grieved to know the same. The king, kindly tell me the truth. The king, kindly tell me the truth. If it gives me grief, kindly suggest the means to get rid of it. Prasara, your son will live for 2 years. He will die on the 8th day from today. For this you worship Umakant, Sri Shiva, the Guru of the universe, with Rudra Shukta. The significance of this Rudra Shukta is very great. This will save the life of your son. The 4 Vedas came out of the 4 mouths of Brahmadev. Yajurveda contains this Rudra Shukta. Brahmadeva told this Rudra to Maricha, Atri, etc. These rishis taught this to their disciples. Thus it has come on this earth from generation to generation. By reciting Rudra, all the sins are wiped off. You invite 100 learned Brahmins and have 10,000 Rudra Abhisheks on Sri Shiva Shankar. This will enable your son to live a long life. The king invited Brahmins as instructed, and Rudra Abhishek was started ceremoniously. On the 8th day at midday, the Rajkumar all of a sudden fell on the ground senseless. Abhishek Tirth was sprinkled on his body, and the Brahmins also threw enchanted Akshat rice of Rudra on the same. Due to this, Yamdut did not dare to come near the Rajkumar, who soon awoke from the swoon. His death was thus averted. The king and the people were very much delighted. The king spent much in charity. In the meantime, Narad Muni came there and said, O king, while Yamduts were taking away your son, Shivduts attacked them and freed your son. The Yamduts fled away to Yama and complained. Yama went to Sri Shankar and asked, "Why did your doots attack my doots?" Sri Shankar said, "When Rajkumar was granted long life, why did your doots go to snatch him without consulting Chitragupta, record keeper of lives of all beings? They ought not to have gone. When record of Chitragupta was checked, it was found that though the Kumar's life was 12 years at first, he was granted 10,000 years life later on. Seeing this, Yama repented and went away. Your son got long life by virtue of Rudra Jap. His death is averted. Such is the great power of Rudra Shukta." Chapter 35. Kach Devyani, the young wife asked Sree Guru, "What is your future? How should I live hereafter? Please favor me with a mantra." Sree Guru said, "A wife should serve her husband devotedly. She needs no other advice or mantra. If a mantra is given to a woman, some calamity falls. This is evident from the tale of Kach Devyani. In olden days, the gods and demons were often at war. Shukracharya, the guru of the demons, would recite Mrityunjay mantra and the dead demons would be made alive. Therefore, it was rather difficult for the gods to win the war. Indra, the king of the gods, went to Sri Shankar and told him this fact. Sri Shankar was very angry and he asked to call Shukra. Nandi, Sri Shiva's bull, went to Shukra, who was in meditation at that time. Nandi therefore held him in his mouth and brought him to Sri Shankar. Sri Shankar at once devoured him. After some days, Shukra came out of the body of Sri Shankar through his urine. He again started reciting Mrityunjay mantra and brought the demons to life. Indra told Brihaspati, guru of gods, about Amrit Sanjeevani mantra of Shukracharya and said, "The guru of the demons makes them alive with the help of this mantra. You being the guru of the gods, why should you not protect the gods?" Brihaspati said, "If the Sanjeevani mantra is heard by 6 years, it will lose its importance, so it would be better to send someone as a pupil to learn the mantra from Shukracharya. Let my son Kachra be sent to him. He will learn the mantra and return." Kacha took leave of the gods and came to Shukracharya. He bowed to him and stood before him. Shukracharya inquired who he was and why he had come to him. Kacha replied, "I am a Brahmin Kumar. Hearing your fame, I have come to learn at your feet." Shukracharya's only daughter Devyani was standing by her father. She liked the Brahmin youth and requested her father Shukracharya to accept him as his pupil. Shukracharya agreed and Kacha started staying with him. The demons did not approve of this as they suspected that the gods would learn the Sanjeevani mantra from Shukracharya and then it would be impossible for them to win a victory over them. Therefore, when Kacha had been to the forest for bringing darba, a kind of grass, the demons killed him in the evening. When Kacha did not return home, Devyani requested her father to bring him home soon. Shukra by intuition knew that he was dead, so he recited Sanjeevani mantra and brought him to life. Kacha then came home once again. When Kacha had been to the forest, the demons killed him and the pieces of his body were thrown in all directions. Devyani again showed anxiety for Kacha. Shukra again recited Sanjeevani mantra and brought him to life. As Devyani was his only daughter and Shukracharya had great affection for her, the demons now contrived to kill Kacha on Ekadasi fast day. They then mixed his flesh in wine and offered it to Shukracharya for drinking. For the third time, when Kacha was missing, Devyani wept and requested him to bring him to life. Shukracharya realized that Kacha was not seen anywhere, but he was in his belly. He told Devyani that Kacha was in his belly, and if he is taken out, he himself would die. Devyani said, "You are bringing to life all people and saying that you would die. How is this? Kacha is my soul. If he does not come back, I will give up my life." Sukracharya, besides myself, none else knows Sanjeevani mantra. There is a condition that this mantra should not be divulged to anyone. If it is heard by 6 years, 3 persons, it will lose its effect. This is a problem with me. Devyani said, "Teach me the mantra, I shall recite it and make you alive." Sukracharya, the Shastras prohibit telling a mantra to a woman. Devyani, who was greatly dejected, said, "Then you may live with your mantra happily. I'll give up my life." Saying so, she fell on the ground senseless. Sukracharya brought her to consciousness and gave her the Sanjeevani mantra. While he was reciting the mantra, Kacha, who was in Sukra's belly, also heard it. Sukra recited the mantra and Kacha came out of his body, tearing his belly. Consequently, Sukracharya fell dead. Then Devyani recited the mantra third time and Shukra became alive. Thus Kacha heard the mantra thrice and made it by heart. Now Kacha folded his hands and said to Sukracharya, "I have studied at your house so far. The demons do not allow me to live here peacefully. Kindly therefore allow me to go home now." Devyani interrupted, "I have made you alive thrice. I love you. You should marry me. Kacha, being the daughter of my Guru, you are my sister. You made me alive from time to time, and so you are like my mother. If I marry you, people will blame me." Hearing this, Devyani felt sorry, and at the same time she was enraged. She cursed him, your learning will be futile. You will forget all that you have learned." Kacha said, "You have cursed me in vain. You will marry a person other than a Brahmin. Your father has taught you Sanjeevani mantra against the rules of Shastras, hence it will not work now." Seeing this, Kacha went away. Seeing that Kacha had returned, Indra and other gods were delighted. Sree Guru said, "For a woman, service of her husband is the principal mantra. She should obey him and observe Varta, etc. With his consent only." Chandrangda Simantini, the young wife, then requested Sree Guru to suggest some Varta. "Sree Guru, I will tell you a Varta by which you Sobhagya will be perpetual and your husband will get prosperity." This Varta was told by Sut to rishis in former days. In this Varta, you have to worship Sri Shiva every Monday, observe fast on that day, and keep control over your senses. This worth can be observed by the married woman having husband, Kumaris, unmarried girls, widows, young and old persons of both sexes. Chetravarma was a pious king. In former times, he had a daughter named Simantini, who was beautiful and good-natured. One astrologer had said that all the stars in her horoscope were good, but she would be a widow at the age of 14. The king and others were extremely pained to hear this. Once Maitreyi, wife of Yagnavalkya, came to the king. Simantini requested her, "Kindly tell me a means by which my Sobhagya will be perpetual." Maitreyi then told her to observe Monday Varta and said, "By observance of this Varta, your desires will be fulfilled and you will get all prosperity." Simantini therefore began to observe this Varta devotedly. Simantini was married to Chandrangad, son of Indrasen of the famous Nal family. With due festivities, Chandrangad stayed at Chitrayarma for some days. Once he went to Kalindi, Yamuna river with some friends. They were traveling in a ferry boat. All of a sudden, the boat sank in the river. Even after diligent search, no trace of Chandrangad was found. Simantini and her parents were greatly shocked to know this. Indrasen and his wife were deeply grieved. He lost interest in the affairs of his kingdom, taking this opportunity. His enemies usurped the throne and put Indrasen and his wife in jail. Simantini resolved to observe sati as per the religious rule of a devoted wife, but as the dead body of her husband was not found, she could not observe the sati rite as per Shastras, so she was prevented from the observance of sati. Simantini continued her Monday fast and worship of Sri Shiva. When Chandrangad was drowned, the Nagakanyas took him to Vasuki in Patal, in a beautiful city with building glittering with precious stones. The gate of the city was golden and all persons in it were like serpents. Taksak, the king with 1,000 hoods, was sitting on a bright throne. Chandrangad was brought before him. Takshak inquired about him with affection and assured him about his safety and asked him to live there happily. After some days, Chandrangad requested Takshak, I am the only son of my parents. I am recently married and my wife Simantini is only 14 years of age. My parents, wife and mother and father-in-law must be mourning deeply for me, so kindly arrange to send me to them very soon. Taksa gave him nectar to drink and offered him costly clothes, ornaments, and precious stones. He also gave him a swift horse and a Nag Kumar to accompany him. They instantly appeared on the bank of Kalindi, where accidentally, it being Monday, Simantini also had come with her female attendants for bath. It was the very place where Chandrangad had drowned. Looking at him, Simantini said to her attendants, who is this celestial person coming out of the water? I remember to have seen him before. Please inquire. Chandrangad looked at Simantini and began to think, she appears like my dear wife, but how is it that she has two Mangal Sutra and around her neck and kumkum on her forehead? He descended from the horse, came near Simantini and inquired about her with affection. Simantini was ashamed to see him come near. She told her attendants to narrate her account. The attendants told him 3 years before her husband was drowned here in this river, she is continuing her Monday Varta in grief, and today being Monday, she has come here for bath. His enemies have usurped her husband's kingdom and they have put her mother and father-in-law in jail. Simantini then asked, may I know who you are, god or god Gandharva? Why are you inquiring about me? She recollected the face of her husband and began to mourn. Seeing her dejected, Chandrangad held her hand in affection and told in ears in a low voice, you need not mourn, your husband will meet you on the third day, but do not disclose this to anybody. He rode the horse and went away with the Nagakumar to see his parents. When he reached the outskirts of the city and Nagkumar entered the city and told the then ruler Chandrangad has returned from Patal with an assurance of assistance from Takshak. Reinstalled Indrasen on the throne with honor, otherwise you are doomed. The ruler was alarmed. He released Indrasen from jail and seated him on the throne with honor. Indrasen embraced Chandrangad with affection. A message of joy was sent to Chitravarma, who with Samintini and others was greatly rejoiced to hear the news. Indrasen started with his paraphernalia to meet Chitravarma ceremoniously. Again, a ceremony like wedding was celebrated, and Chandrangad and Simantini met each other. Chitrangad offered the ornaments, precious stones, fruits of kalptru, etc. brought from Taksak to Simantini. She attained all the glory due to observing the Monday Varta with great devotion. As advised by Sree Guru, the young couple started observing Monday Varta. Their Parents also came there, bowed to Sree Guru, and were glad to see the good health of the couple by the grace of Sree Guru. They gave much in charity, then all returned to their place. The couple later on had some issues. They used to come to see Sree Guru every year and had all prosperity. So, fourth day's reading is completed. Thank you. Namaste.